All right, let's dive straight into this explainer. Picture a nameless kingdom. There are no physical walls here, no armed guards at the gates. Instead, this entire place is ruled by invisible agreements. Today, we're unpacking a deeply fascinating Gothic fable called the architecture of the uncanny, the jester's wager. Imagine living in a world where the streets aren't paved with stone, but with unspoken rules dictating exactly when you're supposed to weep, when you should smile, and when you absolutely must stay quiet. It's a reality built entirely on collective suppression, and we're going to break down just how fragile that kind of reality truly is.
So, the absolutely crucial thing to grasp right off the bat is that in this kingdom, civilization isn't some noble virtue. Not at all. It's really just a semantic construct. It functions as a collective noun for these invisible agreements that govern the phenology of human emotion. Decency and morality, they're completely stripped of genuine meaning. They're just performative rules. You're looking at a society that isn't oppressed by a tyrant's iron fist, but rather by the relentless, suffocating weight of an endless performance.
And this brings us to the kingdom's ultimate vulnerability. On the surface, you have what they call the painted surface. Think gleaming marble halls, polite nods, the whole shebang they label decency and sanity. But if you scratch that paint even a little bit, you hit what's known as the ontological void. It's like a giant, beautiful house built on completely rotted timber. Society here is literally just a fresh coat of lacquer, hiding old wood that's silently, steadily rotting away. The decay isn't obvious, but it is deeply structural. Everyone just silently agrees that the paint is enough because they are terrified of the rot underneath. Then enter our protagonist, the holy fool, the uncanny jester, accompanied by a rather intense figure known as the High Inquisitor, who travels by his side to witness this whole spectacle. This quote perfectly captures the jester's true function. He doesn't show up to juggle or tell simple jokes to the king. He arrives to challenge the very grammar of this half-told joke of a society. The kingdom speaks a language of hollow shams, and the jester's entire purpose is to ring his bells at the exact moment that false syntax finally collapses.
Now, you might be wondering, how does he actually do this? Well, he just leans against the wall. The jester performs what's called an ontological audit. The High Inquisitor asks him, "What exactly are you testing here?" And the jester simply smiles and applies the weight of a single genuine presence against the kingdom's structures. He tests whether this civilization actually covers anything intact, or if it's all just a mechanical play. When he leans, his hand goes straight through, exposing that their impenetrable stone borders are, in reality, just the fragile boundaries of what everyone agreed to ignore.
Section: The Jester's Ontological Wager. 3 dances. Let's see how this test is structured. The jester formalizes his test directly to the king with a triadic ritual of deconstruction. The king demands, "What are your terms, fool?" And the jester asks for a simple gift: 3 dances over 3 dark nights. His weapons? 3 masks and 3 uncanny mirrors. But remember, these aren't just physical objects, they're philological tools. The jester wagers that by holding up these mirrors, he can strip away the kingdom's false syntax, lifting that painted surface to expose the raw truth hiding behind their carefully curated masks.
Dance 1. Performative sorrow. For his first dance, the jester targets the kingdom's spaces of mourning. He stands exactly where the citizens come to grieve. But instead of crying, his first mirror reflects a terrifyingly honest laugh. He completely shatters the illusion of their sorrow. He exposes that their decency isn't real empathy at all. It's just a performative reality, basically, displayed for the benefit of glowing screens. Actually, it's pretty much the Gothic equivalent of posting a crying selfie for social media clout. He strips away their script, proving their mourning is entirely manufactured.
Moving on to Dance 2, Gilded Parasites. Next, the jester turns his second uncanny mirror on the kingdom's elite. We're talking the gilded few, the nobility, whose ambition is dressed in the finest silk. And his method here is just brilliant. He overperforms their nobility, acting more like them than they dare to act themselves. The High Inquisitor watches as the mirror reveals the undeniable truth the royal court refuses to see. Behind the noble, gilded shelves, the reflection exposes a parasite. The elite aren't the pillars of society they claim to be, they're literally feeding off the very structure they pretend to uphold. Finally, we reach Dance 3, the commercial void.
For his final dance, the jester attacks the glowing epicenter of the kingdom, the gleaming shrines of commerce built to sell citizens things they absolutely do not need. Just take a look at this. It's a single slice representing 100% the void. The jester dances right where the crowd comes to buy and dine, and he shouts the exact philosophical questions that commerce was invented to replace. He forces the entire citizenry to confront the terrifying, sheer emptiness that their endless retail therapy has been desperately trying to obscure.
So, the terms of this wager are absolute. The jester tells the court, if this surface holds, if their conscience doesn't stir even a bit, he'll leave, admitting he's just a fool with bells. But if just one mirror cracks the kingdom's face, if just one true laugh outlasts their performative death, if even one man in the crowd holds his certain breath, then the kingdom's authority collapses completely. Civilization is proven to be nothing more than a joke half told. The anatomy of silence. And here is where things get truly strange.
The jester concludes his manifesto. And as he and the High Inquisitor step out into the hallway, the uncanny mirror suddenly catches the light, refracting it violently back across the royal court. This uncanny light fundamentally shifts the court's perception of reality. It triggers a state of semantic paralysis. It's the chilling realization that every throne, every ounce of power, is built upon a stone of what the citizens refuse to hold. It is built on suppressed stones and collective denial. And in that refracted light, the mechanical performance of order completely fails.
We literally see this physical breakdown happen step by step in the text. The king is struck totally silent. The philosopher, completely unable to rationalize the void, just studies his hands. The high minister repetitively straightens a perfect cuff. It's a desperate liturgical attempt to maintain those invisible agreements that are currently collapsing around him. And perhaps most hauntingly, the Lord Chamberlain looks out into the middle distance. He's staring directly into the space where nothing is, actively acknowledging the absolute erasure of their kingdom's authority.
The mechanical performance of order can no longer define its own profit. The false syntax has broken down entirely. The rules of when to weep and when to smile have vanished. In this profound state of semantic paralysis, the jester's weaponized smile becomes the only scripture remaining in the silent court. The uncanny has completely, irreversibly overtaken the performance.
Which really leaves us to wonder about our own reality, right? Think about the invisible agreements you navigate every single day, the unwritten rules of decency, the performances of success and sorrow on your social feeds. It poses a monumental question. Are the borders of your world actually made of stone, or are they simply the fragile boundaries of what you and everyone around you have agreed to ignore? Are we all just a painted surface, waiting for someone to lean against the wall? Thank you so much for exploring this philosophical deep dive with me today. Keep questioning the paint, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.